I'm going to today demonstrate to you how to make the large Christmas ribbon door wreath. First of all, I'm going to go through a few things that you get in the kit. You get a 16-inch copper wreath ring, the instructions, which are great to have, or you can obviously re-watch this video. What else do we get in the kit? We get a pack A, which I'm going to show you what to do with that to cover the copper ring with. We've got all this lovely ribbon to work with. So we've got wired, gold, silver, red, checks, snowflakes, and we'll come to those and how we use those in a moment. And then we've got a little embellishment, a little slant of how we enhance the ribbon with some tartan. And our final pack is pack D, which shows you how to make a fabulous finishing bow on the end. Now, what else you will need with this kit is a few other things. First thing is a really good sharp pair of scissors. We then need a stapler, and we need some glue, and I always recommend Pinflair gel glue, and I'll tell you why later on. And there's also a little tip there for how to use that glue more effectively. One more thing which is optional is our bow maker, which you may have seen on Crate and Craft TV. I'm actually going to do a little mini tutorial at the end of how to use this. If you haven't got this, which is available on fantasticribbons.com. Okay, let's get started. So, our copper ring, we've now got this lovely, it's like a velvet ribbon. It's really strong and it's great for covering products such as this. So what I'm going to do, we had pack A, which I showed you earlier on, and it's in 3 metre lengths. So what I've done is I cut this into metre lengths, and I'll tell you why. It's much easier to work with and it doesn't twist as we're going through it. So what the first thing I do is wrap it round here like this. I get the stapler and I staple a piece in there like that, okay? Doesn't matter where you start. Then what we can do is that we start covering it. So can you see how easy it is when you've got smaller pieces to work with? I hope you can see that. So what we're doing then is we're just folding it over. I keep it quite tight, so just keep that tension there on that and be quite generous with it. So I'm trying to sort of do about half across there with it, and this will actually make the finish much better on the ring, and it won't scratch your door when you come to hang it. So here we are. Can you see what we've done? We've gone along here now over that little bobble there, and what I'm doing is I'll just show you one piece and then we can get cracking on lots of other things that we need to show you. Okay, so there we are. Can you see what we've done? We've just whiz that round. Again, to finish off, what you need to do, just so you start again with the same place, is just literally staple that together. So that's fantastic. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you just a complete one when it's all finished. Okay, so let's complete stage 1 by just finishing off this lovely ribbon by finishing the covering. Now you will have enough to go all the way around the ring, as you can see. This is the last bit that we've got. If you've got a little tiny bit, you can either, just like I've just done, I'm just going to just wrap it around a little bit more, just so we've just completed the whole piece here. And then what we do, as always, just simple. So I mean, you know, that's really simple, isn't it, that we've done that. We've got a ring which is covered and there's no rough edges. Next stage we go on to now is tying the ribbon on the wreaths. Now you can see in the pack B's, there's 3 pack B's, and they all contain all these lovely wired ribbons. What I tend to do with these, I use the wired ribbons first. So we're going to set out a pattern here of how we do it. I keep the ribbon roll in the middle here. Don't take it off the roll, and I'll tell you why. We literally then start doing a knot. Now, tiny little bit, I tend to double knot them. So I would just go around again, okay, a double knot, and I'd leave that, can you see, maybe 2.5 inches, and I cut off that side. What I tend to do is to keep a pattern going. I just start with north, south, east, west. So I go around and I start doing, and as you can see, there's going to be no waste from the roll because I'm cutting as I go. So again, putting it really tight. I don't know if you can see that. You have to really give it a good tug and you cut it off. So I would go around again here now, just down to the north side, and we would then start filling it in. So this is very important. We must give it a good tug, and we must give it twice and not like that. We don't want these to move at all. So can you see what we're doing? The effect, you're thinking, heavens, what is it going to look like? Because it does look rather untidy until we get onto the fantastic finale of it all. Pull it really tight, and again, and these are wired organza ribbons. Put it really tight and then you'll snip it off. So what we can start doing now is we can use all these ribbons by literally start filling them in. So now if you continue on from keep adding on and on and on to the ribbons, you end up with this fantastic effect. So we're nearly completing stage 2. That's all of the packs of bees that you get in the kit. Next thing we do, you can see that it's virtually a circle here. What we need to do is just check where you're going to put your actual big finishing bow, which we're going to do later. And I put a piece of ribbon, just to tie a piece of ribbon there so we don't forget the fact of where the bow is going to go. Right, to finish this off and to make it look fabulous, there's a few things we're going to do. We actually get these pieces of ribbon here and they need tidying up. So I would cut that, fold it and cut it, and you get these lovely little D's. Let's show you again. Fold it here and cut that up and you end up with these little D's. Here's one here. You can, with the small ones, just cut just on an angle. So that's going to take you a little bit of time. I've got to say, when we went from just a few bits of ribbon to this size, this will take you about half an hour. So sit with a cup of tea and really have a good time doing it. It's a very relaxing therapy to do it and you will really enjoy it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to continue finishing off these little bits here. So they actually would just be either on the angle like this, or you can actually V them. So fold it over, and remember what we have to do is that we cut away and we get this V you can see here. When we've completed that, and I'll show you one that I've done earlier in a moment, the next thing we do is that we get pack C. Now pack C is already folded into the size that I want to make these little loops. So all we do is we snip these. Okay, so what we do, as you say, we've snipped these pieces off here. We've made them into a loop by just putting a staple on them. And you can see it's given a slightly different texture to it. What we do then is that we place them around first. So as you can see what we've done, there was 8 of them. I placed them where I'm going to glue them. And here's the last one here. So I use the pin flare gel glue. So I'm going to put it in a little bit here. So I'm going to identify and I squeeze a good little drop there on there. And then I hold the inside of that down with my hand. And this pin flare glue will actually start going tacky in about 20 minutes. But if you leave that overnight, that would be perfect to do. I'll talk about the glue now, but if you just remember, just give that a really good press down. You can see how this is going to start to come together. Right, now I'm going to show you when all this is done what it will look like. Now we've finished all the trimming of the wreath, you can see how effective that is with all the V's we've done. I've just had a little comment come through about, can we show you again how to do a perfect V? Okay, here's 2 pieces of ribbon. This happens to be wide ribbon, but you can use anything, even down to your tiny little ones, 3mm, 6mm. Fold it over, and depending how deep you want that, can you see what we do? Fold it over, and then we've got perfect V's. So this is how we've enabled us to look at the stunning effect we've got here. So you can see now how the wreath is coming together. I want to talk to you about one more thing, which is glue. Let's talk about pin flare glue, because we might have seen this at shows, or you might be a great avid fan of this already. I buy the pin flare gel glue, and this is available again on fantasticribbons.com. Always make sure that when you've finished it, seal it with the red top. That's really important. Okay, I always use the packs with the syringe in. I take the syringe like this, and I put a little bit of glue in, okay, so you can see. I tend not to fill it too much, because I always think if you forget to put this back into the tube, it'll dry up. So I go like this. Now what's happened is, I've got no glue on my hands. I then put that in there, get rid of the air, and you've got a perfect glue scenario. Now, obviously the top goes on when you're using it, so if you're doing things you can write with it, you can put that into glitter, it's fantastic for cards, decor, you know, if you're doing all sorts of paper crafting or crafting, it's perfect. The other tip that I say to you is when you've finished with your session, always inject this back into the tube. Can you see what I'm doing? So inject the whole of that back into the tube, then put that top back on. Now what's really important, make sure that's really tight. This can then be washed out and you won't waste anything. Now even if you don't, this little bit of glue, and you just leave it like that, you can actually, that dries, you can pick that out with a pin. So you've always got a perfect glue for your crafting. The bow maker from Crate and Craft TV Embellishment Attic. We're a stockist at fantasticribbons.com, and what I'm going to show you today is how you can easily make bows with this fantastic tool. What we're going to do first of all, I'm going to show you two techniques. One of them is the classic bow technique. Now as you can see, I've got a tiny weeny bit of ribbon here, 3mm wide. I put it into the first slot and it's almost like a third hand, this grip here. I then choose narrow prongs to go wrap it round. So that's one. So can you see, you always leave the middle free. Now I'm going to go round again to make it a double bow. So it's a double classic bow. That's all I've done, is wrapped it round the prongs. Through the hole, always through the hole, up through the middle, and you tie one knot on the back. So if you're knitting, stitching, crocheting, scrapbooking, card making, paper craft, pull it really tight. And of course Christmas is fantastic. Look at this, slide it off, and what we've got is a perfect, can you see, double bow there. Now that is extraordinary, because that will sit flat on a card, or if you wanted to just cut that off and just use a little bit of gel glue. The other thing which is extraordinary, the more I pull that, the tighter that knot goes there. So there you've got a perfect bow. So if we were going to do a bigger bow, I'm going to show you now on that. Let's use a wider ribbon and do the same technique. Into your clip, and let's go slightly wider this time. So maybe if we go here, now there's another little tip, and again there's loads and loads of ideas on YouTube with what people have been doing with it. Can you see 1, 2, 3, 4 are empty, 1, 2, 3, 4 are empty. Gives you an even bow. Literally this simple. Wrap it round twice, you can go around a third if you want. Remember, through the hole, up through the middle, and you tie a knot on the back. And remember that knot needs to be really tight. Got to give it a good old tug again. As you do, then you turn it over, you slide this off, and you've got a perfect bow that hasn't twisted like this, or one of these shoots the other way. You know what happens when you get a swag? Now what we do to these swags to get them come down this way, just give it a little bit of a tug here, and you've got a perfect little bow. Isn't that extraordinary? So if you were doing now what we're going to do, if we're going to do a larger bow, it's exactly the same. The wider the prongs, the wider the bow. So that's the perfect technique for a classic bow, and whatever you're doing, Christmas, gifts, cake decoration, looks fantastic. You can see we've got a perfect classic bow. Now what I'm going to do next is something extraordinary which we cannot do. I've never tried to do this on any other tool before. It's called a Stacy bow, or some people call it a parcel bow. In your clip again, and then this time we wrap it around the middle as if we were doing a small one, but we then weave it either side. So we're going across here. Can you see we're just tucking it underneath the next available prong? You see? We're just going across to the next prong. You then go through the hole, and this is an organza which is printed both sides, which really does work well, but you can use satin, organzas, grosgrains, you can use baker's twine. Now you again pull that really tight, give it a really good tug. But as you slide this off, look at the extraordinary effect this has done. Can you see there, look what it's done? It's actually given us 3 bows, a bow on top of the bow on top of the bow. So that bow now can be pulled down like we normally did, or you can actually put that on a card, you can dress it up. You can put this around a gift, and you could have that going round a parcel really easily. Final finishes for the ribbon wreath. We've now finished trimming the wreath ring, and we're now on to the final pack D. Now pack D of ribbons contains ribbons that are wired, and they're going to make us this fantastic bow. Now you will find that one of the ribbons will be slightly narrower than the rest, and I'm going to use the gold and the green together to make one big bow, and then I'm going to cheat and make some lovely tags and swags with these by the end. So the 3 I'm left with, I'm actually just going to cut them. So this will just give us some lovely swags in a moment. So let's do a large bow now of the classic bow that we talked about earlier on with the bow maker. So I'm going to go around the widest parts this time. So just try and keep these 2 together, your narrow and your wider one together here. I'm going to go around twice to make it a lovely double bow. And do you remember what we were doing? We wrapped it round, we go through the holes, always through the hole, and then we always come up through the middle, and then we take this piece off that we hooked earlier and we tie a knot. Now what I want to do is I want to get both these striped ribbons the same way round. So can you see what I'm doing here? I'm actually twisting it to make sure, just put it a little bit tighter, that the green is underneath, because this is the back of the bow. All will be revealed. So what we're talking about is giving it a good old tug, really good old tug there. Then as we turn it over and slide it off, we've got all the green on the front. Can you see? Now, because this is wired, what I tend to do, take it off and I give it another really good tug there, and then we start forming the bow. Do you remember we were talking about bringing the swags down before? And those, we'll need those because those are going to be part of the bow that completes on us for the wreath. So, can you see what we're doing now? We're actually bringing these out here to make the bow. Can you see how effective it is, and the light is catching the gold and the green here? So because we've got 2, just ease that out there, and you can see we're starting to have a bow to form here. These will come down here, and then we're going to snip those off to make the start of the first part of the bow for the wreath. So let's just, I'll tell you what we'll do, let's just initially just trim that off there and move that a little bit there, and that's the first part. Now in the pack, do you remember we actually cut these pieces in half? What we're going to do, we're going to cheat. So what we're going to do, we're going to get 3 different ones here, and then we're going to do that again. Okay, and then can you see we're going to fold them over like this, and then what we're going to do, we're going to get our stapler and we're going to staple those. What I'll do is I'll ease it over a little bit more to give you, can you see how pretty that is? So what we're going to do, and it's a cheat version really, because we're actually enhancing the bow. So staple those into the corner there, can you see? Then we're going to actually put that on there, and we're going to trim these and curl them. So what we need to do is, this will be actually eventually using some pin flare glue, and we're going to go back again to doing what we were doing before, which is, remember what we were doing, we were going to V these to do like this. So here we are, just showing you we've finished off all the trimming of the garland here to finish off at the end for the wreath. Well, one thing else I do is that if it's wired, just get your scissors. I mean, I just do this, you don't have to do this, you can have them lying flat if you wanted to, and just curl it slightly. There's some of them which have got a stronger wire in than others. Some of them will just really look lovely if you just flip them up. And remember, this can all be kept in your loft or your cupboard every year and just brought out, and you can just zhush it back up because it's wired ribbon, it doesn't damage it. So to finish off this, then we just get our pin flare glue, and I tend to just put it on here where it's going, so we know exactly what's happening here. So I put quite a big, I think the word's globule, I don't know, but we put that on there like that. So there's all the glue put on. You then place over this lovely bow that we've done. Let's just put the top back on the glue. So what we need to do now is that we need to let that to dry overnight, and then what we would do, you then simply put this over here, and we would either glue or tie that on with a little bit of fine ribbon. I tend to let that dry and put some more glue on it, and there we have the perfect ribbon wreath. Look how beautiful that is for Christmas. Can I just say thank you very much everyone for watching the demo. I hope you enjoyed it.